Hello, and welcome to the last of our lessons about Peer Gynt. And we're looking at sort of the final bits and pieces to do with our Peer Gynt story. We're going to find out what happens to Peer Gynt at the end of Ibsen's play, and we're going to be looking at the final piece in suite number 2 of the Peer Gynt suites. So there's a lot to do today, a lot to do. Now, before we sort of get going and start our lesson properly, a few reminders of things that you might need just to enable you to sort of participate in today's lesson a little bit more. So if you have been on the Facebook page and have looked at the JPEGs there, or if you've been on the website and you have seen the PDF, there should be a handout, a worksheet for you, which has got questions on it, the questions we're going to be answering today and things like that. So you could be using the worksheet, or if you haven't got that, it doesn't matter. You can join in just as well if you are using a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil to answer today's questions as we go through. So let's find out what today's lesson is going to be all about. We have looked at Peer Gynt suite number 1. It's in its entirety. We looked at in the Hall of the Mountain King, which was the third movement. We looked at Anitra's dance, which was that's the third movement. The Hall of the Mountain King was the fourth movement. We looked at the death of Orsa, the second movement, and we looked at Morning Mood, and we discovered that nothing in these Peer Gynt suites is chronological. Everything bounces around, and the story sort of moves around in all sort of directions. So we started in Morning Mood with Peer Gynt up a tree fighting off monkeys. We then jumped backwards to him visiting his mother. We then jumped forward back to just after he'd been fighting off the monkeys when he is with the Bedouin tribe. And then we looked at in the Hall of the Mountain King, which bounces back again to before he visited his mum. And then we look at Peer Gynt suite number 2. Now, we haven't looked at the music for Ingrid's Lament just because we're running out of weeks. So, today's is the last lesson, and I needed another 2 weeks if I was going to look at all of the pieces. Ingrid's Lament, just to put it into context, Ingrid is the lady at the very beginning of this whole Peer Gynt story adventure who is abducted by Peer Gynt, and she is whisked away to the mountains on her wedding day. And so Ingrid's Lament is very much about how sad she's feeling, how awful the situation is, which you can imagine she would be in a right state, terribly upset, having been whisked away from her own wedding, taken into the mountains, and then basically just left. That's what Peer Gynt did. He was not a nice soul. At that point, he treated her abominably. And then the second piece, again, that we're not going to be able to look at for this, but the Arabian dance. Now, the Arabian dance is when he's sort of on his travels, and it occurs around about the same time as Anitra's dance. Okay, so in the story, that's sort of where it all fits in. And then last week, we looked at Peer Gynt's homecoming. Now, that was when it was very stormy and there were big seas, and he's on his boat and everything is going wrong. He knows that he's been a bad person. He's feeling terrible about it. He's coming towards the end of his life, he thinks. He's getting older. He's feeling very bad about all the bad things that he's done. And he's very regretful for the heartache and the upset that he's caused. And he's heading back to Norway because that's his home. And he ends up being shipwrecked on the shore of Norway, and then having to climb through the mountains and travel. It's a real arduous journey to get home. And you would imagine, because the music from Peer Gynt's Homecoming goes straight into Solfa's song, which is the next piece, the final piece of the suite, you would think that they again would be chronological. You are going from the homecoming into Solfaï's song. No, that's not how it works. So although he in the story is going back to Solfaï, actually what happens is in the suite, in the actual play, in the play, it's a different song that is sung by Solfaï. She sings Solfaï's cradle song as she sort of cradles and hugs Peer Gynt when he gets home. So this piece of music that we're looking at today, Solfaï's song, not the cradle song, Solfaï's song, because that's the piece that's used within the suite, it feels like that should be the end of the story, but actually in the story, this piece of music does not happen at the end. This piece of music happens far more towards the beginning. But who is Solfaï? I keep saying this person's Solfaï. Who is Solfaï? Well, Solfaï's been Peer Gynt's one constant throughout. She's supported him regardless of his faults. She loves him so deeply. And she has been, right at the very beginning of the story, she was there. She was there to see, they loved each other. He wanted to marry her, basically because he couldn't marry her because the family had said, no, you're not marrying our daughter. That's when he abducted Ingrid, and that's the point where everything went wrong. And it's very interesting that the way that imagery is used when you think about the play. Solfaï is an old Norse name, and Sol means home, sun, or sun-coloured, and Vi means strength or battle. And if you think about the character of Solfaï and who she is the person that he's going home to. She has been his guiding light throughout the whole story. She is the one that is sort of trying to guide him. She is the one who says in this song, you will come home to me, we will be together. She is his strength. She is there, his constant. And so she plays a really important part in this story. Although he's off on his travels and he's doing all these adventurous things and he's being a very naughty boy at times, he's going to go back to her. And we know that. And we find that that's the case at the end of the story. But the song itself is actually from Act 3. And she sings this song just as Peer Gynt leaves to go to visit his mother. So she's basically turned up in the mountains. Peer Gynt is in a log cabin in the mountains, and he's been there for a while. And Solfaï leaves the village, leaves her family and friends, turns up on his doorstep, and basically says, look, if you go back to the village at any point, you are going to get killed. They are so cross with you. You have done such a naughty thing. So if you go home, if you go to visit your mum, you risk being killed. But your mum is dying and she wants to see you. So I'm telling you, go and see your mum, find a way of sneaking into the village, visit your mum, and then run away. Go away, come back when it's safe. But I want you to leave now so that you are safe. And you can see what I mean about her being his strength, his guiding light. She's telling him what to do. She's guiding him in that direction. Go visit your mum. Go and visit her. Go and see her. But at the end of the day, you can't come back here. I know that, but I need you to go away. I need you to run away. And we know that he was very good at running away because he used to run away from quite a lot of situations. But she's telling him, go away. Go and have your adventures and find your fortune. Do whatever you need to do. I will be here when you come back. And the song itself, let's just go back there. The song itself, if I sort of try and paraphrase it, because I can't speak Norwegian. I'd love to be able to. I'd love to be able to do languages, but my brain just doesn't like other languages very much. It just doesn't compute. So if I sort of paraphrase what the song words are about, because it is sung, sometimes you just hear it as an orchestra, but there are words to it. And she's basically saying you could be away for a season, you know, like winter or spring. You could be away for an entire year. It could be longer than that, but it doesn't matter. I will be here for you. At all that time, I will wait for you. I'm not going anywhere. I will be here when you come home. And let God give you strength. Let him give you the strength to be wherever you need to be. And if it happens that you pass away and we don't get to meet in the physical again, when I die, I will be with you again anyway. We will be together for eternity. So she's very sure that they are going to be together. Now, let's think about the piece of music. So we've thought about Ibsen's play, we've thought about the story, but let's have a think about the music that we're going to be listening to. It's a very pretty little piece, I think. We'll see what you think. But we need to understand a few key words. So we're looking at structure today, how the piece of music has been put together. So all the building blocks. And there is a video, we did a live lesson about structure way back in sort of like September, October. So if you want to do a little bit more about structure, you can go back and have a watch of one of those videos. We've got our little mini Mozart back. I like having mini Mozart on the screen. He's there to help us to explain things. He's going to be popping up a lot more over the next few weeks. So, structure, how the piece of music is put together. There are two bits of a structure that we've not sort of come across before. Introduction, which is something that sort of introduces the music. It might be, it's a little idea that is very short and is not related to what is going to come next. Sometimes it's something that is taken from the actual music to sort of give you a flavour of it, and then the music continues on. But it's there to sort of introduce it. Here's the introduction. Right now we're going to start the piece. A coda is an ending, a finishing off section, so that a bit that goes on the end to just say, right, piece is finished now, badoom, there we go. Okay, rather than it just ending. And we came across coda previously. I can't remember which piece it was now. It might have been Anitra's Dance. Can't remember. But there was one of the pieces that we listened to that we had a little coda section. Hall of the Mountain King. Had a little coda section just to finish it all off so that it sounded complete. Because if you'd have just stopped at the end of the musical idea, it didn't sort of sit right. It didn't feel finished. So the coda finished it off. So the structure for this piece of music, there's an introduction, and then there's what is an A section. So it's the first musical idea. Then there's a second musical idea. And that's an A-B structure. We call that binary. So think of it a bit like jam on toast, which is why Mini Mozart's sitting there. A is the bread, B is the filling. Okay, so A is the bread, then you've got your jam on toast. So you've got A and then a B. And then what happens is they repeat A and B again, and then they put the coda on the end. Okay, so that's the sort of structure of it. So we're going to have a little listen to it, and I'm going to break it up into its component bits so that you can hear how it all fits together instead of just listening to it in one continuous piece. Now, we're going to hear the introduction first. So let me just play you the intro. Very pretty, very pretty. So it's just a little intro sort of saying this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening in the music. So we're going to listen to idea A now. And what I want you to answer is, what is the tempo? Now, if you can use the terminology, excellent. If you struggle with terminology, is it fast? Is it slow? Is it quite fast? Is it very fast? Is it quite slow? Is it very slow? Description is fine, but if you can use the words, even better. How many beats are in a bar? So you're sort of counting. Is it sort of like 1, 2, 1, 2, or is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? Is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or is it 6, 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've come across all of those time signatures. So how many beats are there in a bar? Does the section begin P or F? Can you remember what P and F means? I don't want to tell you what they mean. I want to see if you can remember, because these are things that we have come across previously, and it's sort of a little bit of a test to see how much you can remember. And which instrument is playing the melody? So we're just going to listen to section A, the idea A. So I will, as is usual, so that I'm not a distraction, I will get out of your way and we will have a listen to just section A. And we're only going to listen to it once today. Here we go. Okay, so there's our idea A. So let's have a think about the answers to these questions, because we're going to sort of scoot through these and see how much you can remember. What is the tempo? How fast do you think it is? Well, the tempo marking on the music, actually on the sheet music, says andante. Andante is an Italian term. We use Italian a lot in music, that means walking pace. So the tempo is sort of a walking pace, but I would, if you're describing it, I'd say it's quite slow. It's not a fast tempo, it's quite a slow tempo. So you would be sauntering along, you wouldn't be power walking. Okay? So that's the sort of tempo, but it is described as an andante. How many beats are there in a bar? 4 beats in a bar. 4 beats in a bar. But if you've put 2, sort of give yourself half a mark for that, because you've recognised the fact that it's got that 1 2 1 2, but it is actually in 4 4. Does the section begin P or F? P means piano, quiet, and F means forte, loud. So you should have that it begins P, because it begins quietly. And which instrument is playing the melody? The instrument playing the melody is the violin. It's actually the first violin section that are playing the melody. So the second violins, the violas, the cello, and double bass sections are providing the accompaniment, along with there's some flute, clarinet, and a horn in there as well. But it's the violin that is playing the tune. So that's our section A. Now, that's quite somber. It's quite serious. This is the part where she's sort of saying, you know, you need to go. It could be a long time before we're together again. But then we move on to idea B. Now, idea B is a contrast. It's different to idea A. So we're looking at how it's different. So what is the tempo for this section? Is it the same or is it different? How many beats are there in a bar? Again, is it going to be 4 4, or are we changing the time signature? Are we counting in a different way? Is the instrument playing the melody the same or different from section A? And here's a difficult question, I think, but I can hear it in my head. I know what I'm thinking, but we'll see if you're on the same wavelength as me, you poor souls. So in both A and B, we get a sense of time passing. How does Grieg achieve this through the music? How does he give that sense of time moving on, time passing? So let's have a little listen to section B of the music. It's not very long, that section, so frantically write down your answers and see what you can come up with. And let's see if what you come up with is the same as I have. So, what is the tempo? What is the tempo? Do you think it's faster? Do you think it's slower? It's actually faster. It is faster. So the tempo is quite a bit faster. We talked about this tempo before. We talked about it in a previous piece of music, and it's actually marked on the music as allegretto. Allegretto is like the Goldilocks of musical tempos. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. It's just right. And that's really what this is. It's marked as allegretto tranquillamento, I think it is, which is not, that's sort of not too fast, not too slow tempo, but tranquil, calm, relaxed, chilled out, tranquil. So that's the tempo marking. So it is a different tempo marking from the previous section. It's a little bit more upbeat. How many beats are in a bar? It is a different time signature. There are 3 beats in a bar this time. Da 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 da. So 3 beats in a bar, and you can conduct 3 beats in a bar to that. Is the instrument playing the melody the same or different? It's actually the same. It is still the violin playing the melody, and it's still the first violins. And in both A and B, we get a sense of time passing. How does Grieg achieve this? I think it's really clever. In the first section, you got this dong, 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 dong at the beginning, which is played on the horns, and it sounds a bit like a bell chiming, like you would have on a clock in a town square or whatever, and it's or Big Ben banging out the sort of what the hour is. It gives that sort of impression. And on this section, it's actually the flutes and the clarinet that are giving that sort of ting, ting, ting in the background, in the accompaniment, to give that sense of time passing. It's just like having that sort of indicator of how many hours. Think about Cinderella, and she's at midnight and she's dashing off to the, because she's got to leave because she's hearing that bell tolling. That sort of idea. Okay, so we get that sense of time passing by. So we've had our idea A and we've had our idea B. Now we're going to listen to ideas A and B again. And what I'd want you to think about this time, and it's the second time that they are played in the music. So it's not that I'm rewinding it and we're listening to the beginning again. This is the second time we have that A-B idea. And how are the dynamics at the beginning of section A different from the first time we heard it? So the first time we heard it, the dynamics were P. They were quiet. Are they the same? Are they different? Do they change? Are they a little bit louder, or are they even quieter? That's possible. And then when we get to section B, we'll have a little go at conducting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll see how we get on. So here are, and I'll keep, poor you, I'll keep me on the screen this time. We'll have a listen to the A and B, and then what we'll do is I'll let it play through into that coda section, that finishing off section, which is very, very similar to the introduction at the beginning. So here we go, straight into A. So let's have a go at conducting. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hear that bell tolling? Toll. Now we have the coda. Okay, so you can see how that all fits together. You've got your little introduction, which is very similar to the coda at the end. You have your A idea and then your B idea, and they are very different from each other. So the A idea is in 4 and is slow. The B idea is a bit quicker. It's that allegretto tempo and it's in 3. We then do the same thing again, A and B. It's the same ideas, the instrumentation slightly different, things like that, but the ideas are the same. And then we have our coda at the end to finish it off. So we've looked at structure, we've looked at dynamics, we know about our dynamics, we've looked at new keywords, introduction, coda, structure. We've recapped things like allegretto and conducting in 3. You've covered a lot of things within our Peer Gynt topic, but we are at the end. It is the end of our Peer Gynt story. So I've got some additional activities there that are on the worksheet that you can perhaps have a go at. But remember that all of the work that we've covered, all of the videos you can access on YouTube. They will be staying up there as live lessons that have been recorded, and you can access them at any time and go back and have a look. The worksheets are PDFs and can be found on the website theatreofmusic.com on the live lessons and resources page, and you can go on there and print them off. All the audio files that I've created, because remember we don't use live musicians for any of these music tracks that you're listening to. They've all been created by me on the computer so that we're not breaching any copyright rules and laws. So you can access all of those. They are on the website as well. But I say this every week. I would encourage you to listen to a live orchestra playing these pieces of music, because it adds so much more to the music than a computer can do. A computer can put in the notes, it can do some of the dynamics and things like that, but it's not the same as a person actually playing the instrument. So do have a listen to a real orchestra playing these pieces, because it's really important to keep music live. Okay, so these additional activities that you can have a go at for our solfaing song lesson. You could have a go at writing a poem that could be used as song lyrics for solfaing song, thinking about what the story is, you know, what's going on in the story at this point, and the fact that she is saying to Peer Gynt, off you go, we will meet again, we will be together again. You could have a go at learning how to conduct 4 beats in a bar. We've done 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We've done 1, 2, 1, 2 when we were doing 6/8. How about 4? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a taster. 4 is down, in, out, up, down, in, out, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, which means that you could have a go at conducting 4 beats in a bar to the section A's, and then go into conducting 3 beats in a bar for the section B in the piece, and go between the two. And the coda and the introduction are both in 4, so you can conduct the 4 at the beginning, you can conduct the 4 at the end as well. So the end of Peer Gynt. Peer Gynt goes back to Norway, and he is with Solfaing. He finds her waiting for him at the hut that where he'd left her, and we assume they live happily ever after, because that's where the story stops. What's our next topic? Well, I'm not going to give the game away today, but we have a very exciting set of 7 lessons for next half term that are from one giant piece of music. If I say that it might involve Romans, there might be references to chocolate, a brand of chocolate. Yeah, the heavy metal might be involved. What does it make you think of? What a combination. I hope you've enjoyed these lessons on Peer Gynt. I look forward to seeing you in the future. And from me, for now, it's goodbye.